Ever wondered how a nation of enslaved people fought and won their freedom against one of the most powerful empires on earth? The story of Haiti is one of the most incredible, yet often overlooked, chapters in world history. Today, we're diving deep into the final, dramatic act of the Haitian Revolution, the fight for true independence. So, where did we leave off? It's 1802. The revolutionary leader, Toussaint Louverture, the Black Spartacus, has been tricked and captured by Napoleon Bonaparte's forces. He's been shipped off to a cold, dark prison in the French mountains, never to see his beloved island again. Napoleon, triumphant, sent his brother-in-law, Charles Leclerc, with a massive armament of thousands of soldiers to restore French authority and, secretly, to bring back the brutal system of slavery. For a moment, it looked like the revolution was over. Many of Louverture's top generals, including Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Henry Christophe, had initially submitted to the French, hoping to preserve the gains they had made. But the French had a darker plan. Leclerc's orders were clear: disarm the black population, deport the black officers, and re-enslave everyone. The Haitian people, who had tasted freedom, were not about to give it up. The French soldiers, arrogant and brutal, began treating the local population with extreme cruelty. Whispers turned to outright panic as news spread that slavery was being reinstated in other French colonies, like Guadeloupe. The mask was off. The French weren't there to negotiate. They were there to conquer and enslave. This betrayal was the spark that reignited the flame of revolution. The Haitian soldiers and cultivators, who had laid down their arms, picked them up again. Guerrilla warfare erupted across the island. Small bands of rebels, known as Maroons, who'd always resisted from the mountains, were now joined by thousands of furious soldiers and farmers. They knew the land. They were fighting for their lives, their families, and their freedom. And this is where Jean-Jacques Dessalines steps back into the spotlight. Dessalines was a brilliant, ruthless, and pragmatic military commander. He had been born into slavery and bore the scars of its brutality on his own body. Unlike Louverture, who had tried to find a middle ground with France, Dessalines saw only one path forward: total, absolute independence, achieved by any means necessary. Seeing the French treachery for what it was, Dessalines broke away from them. In a secret meeting in the spring of 1802, he reunited with other rebel generals, like the formidable Alexandre Pichot. They swore a solemn oath: liberty or death. This wasn't just a slogan, it was a promise. They would rather die as free men and women than live as slaves. Now, the French army, which had been the pride of Europe, found itself in a nightmare. They were fighting an enemy on all fronts, but their most formidable foe wasn't a general or an army. It was an invisible killer. Yellow fever, the disease, carried by mosquitoes, swept through the French ranks like a wildfire. European soldiers, with no natural immunity, were dying by the thousands. The Yellow Jacket, as the Haitians called it, was a more effective general than any human could be. Leclerc himself wrote desperate letters back to Napoleon, begging for more troops, describing the horror of his situation. He wrote, "The rainy season has arrived. My army is destroyed." The disease was so rampant that hospitals became death traps. Out of the more than 40,000 troops sent from France, an estimated 24,000 died from yellow fever, with thousands more lost in combat. Leclerc himself would eventually succumb to the disease in November 1802. With Leclerc dead, command fell to the Vicomte de Rochambeau. If Leclerc was brutal, Rochambeau was a monster. Frustrated and desperate, he unleashed a campaign of pure terror. He used methods that shock the conscience, even today. He massacred prisoners, drowned hundreds of people at a time in the harbors, and even imported hunting dogs from Cuba, training them to hunt and tear apart black people. His goal was not just to defeat the rebels, but to exterminate them. But this reign of terror had the opposite effect. Instead of breaking the spirit of the Haitian people, it forged them into an unbreakable wall of resistance. Rochambeau's cruelty erased any lingering doubt. There could be no compromise with such an enemy. It unified everyone blacks and mixed race against the Couleur, who had sometimes been at odds against a common, existential threat. Dessalines' motto, "Liberty or death," became the cry of the entire nation. The decisive moment came in 1803. Now, the undisputed commander-in-chief of the rebel army had systematically cornered the remaining French forces. The final major battle took place on November 18, 1803, at a series of forts guarding the entrance to the main French stronghold of Cap Franc. The Battle of Vertières is an epic story in itself. The Haitian soldiers, under the command of General Francois Capois, known as Capois la Mort, or Capois the Dead, charged the French forts again and again under a hail of cannon and musket fire. In one legendary moment, Capois's horse was shot out from under him. Undeterred, he got up, dusted himself off, and shouted forward. Forward, as he continued to lead the charge on foot. Seeing this incredible display of bravery, the French General Rochambeau ordered a temporary ceasefire. A French officer rode out to the Haitian lines and shouted, "General Rochambeau sends his compliments to the general who has just covered himself in such glory." The battle then resumed, but the psychological victory was already won. The French, decimated by disease and demoralized by the unbreakable will of their opponents, knew they were defeated. A few days later, Rochambeau formally surrendered to the once mighty French army was allowed to evacuate, but they were so weak that they had to surrender to the British Royal Navy, which was blockading the coast, rather than face the wrath of the Haitian forces. With the French gone, the final step was to declare what had been won with so much blood and sacrifice. On January 1st, 1804, in the city of Gonaïves, Jungok Dessalines stood before the people and the army and proclaimed the island's independence. He tore the white stripe from the French tricolor flag symbolically, ripping out the white colonizers and had the blue and red stitched together to create the first Haitian flag. He also gave the nation a new name. He rejected the colonial name Saint-Domingue and chose Haiti, the name used by the indigenous Taino people before Columbus arrived. This was a powerful statement, reaching back to a pre-colonial identity and rejecting everything European. The Haitian Declaration of Independence was a radical document, unlike the American Declaration, which spoke of freedom while upholding slavery. Haiti's declaration was a declaration of universal freedom, born directly from the experience of slavery. Dessalines was crowned Emperor Jacques I, and the first free black republic in the world was born. The Haitian Revolution sent shockwaves across the globe. It was a terrifying event for slave-owning powers like the United States, Britain, and Spain. They feared their own enslaved populations would be inspired to rise up. As a result, they isolated Haiti, refusing to recognize its independence for decades and crippling its economy with an embargo. France would later demand a crippling indemnity of billions of dollars in today's money in exchange for recognition, a debt that would hobble Haiti for over a century. But for enslaved people everywhere, from the United States to Brazil, Haiti became a powerful symbol of hope. It was living proof that freedom could be won, that the chains of bondage could be broken, and that a people could rise from the depths of oppression to forge their own destiny. The final chapter of the Haitian Revolution wasn't just the end of a war. It was the dawn of a new era and a beacon of liberty that continues to inspire to this day. Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible historical journey. If you found this story as powerful as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what part of this history impacted you the most. See you next time.